Set 242! 242! Hi, hi! And we're back! Hello, welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey, chapter 41. It is Monday, aka the Vulcan Raven upper body workout. Looking forward to that. It is Monday, February 12th. This will probably be released tomorrow, February 13th, day before. Well, we'll get to that one when we get there. But anyways, so today it is Monday, the day that probably should be a holiday in the US, aka the day after the Super Bowl. Or excuse me, the big game. I want to be careful not to get sued. But anyways, I think today's subject matter will be the big game, aka the Super Bowl. Or whatever the stupid thing that they say, the superb owl. God, just for that one. But yeah, so yesterday was the Super Bowl. I watched all of maybe 10 minutes of it, not much at all. I had zero interest in the winners or who would win. That's why. Nothing against those two teams personally. I hear it's a great game. It was a great game. I was keeping track of the score because I was curious as to who would win, but I would not care enough to go out of my way to watch it. That was the issue for me personally. I did watch a little bit of it. I was very curious about it, but nothing too crazy. Somehow watched the halftime show, but that was just because I happened to have it on while I was doing yoga. And yeah, that was interesting. I didn't listen to it, but just occasionally glancing over at Usher being there was kind of interesting. I'm like, oh man, it's Usher. Jesus, that car sucks. What the fuck is up with that car? Anyways, that's mostly what I got. That and some highlights, but I did not watch the entire game. I know that, spoilers, Kansas City won. Saw that they won at the very last second. I would have hoped for a tie to go into double overtime just to see what that would have been like, you know. That would have been a very interesting, like, I would have definitely tuned in to see a double overtime happen, because that would have been like the first time ever. I would have definitely been like, oh shit, we're about to watch history. But no, they won it in the last play of the game or whatever, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Congratulations to them. I can't believe, what is it? The original Patriots died, and now the Kansas City Chiefs have taken them over. They are under new management, the NFL. I cannot believe it. Who won the Super Bowl? Really though? Taylor Swift. She's the one who won. All right. She won, and the NFL won because her team won. All right. So now the amount of jersey sales that are probably going to go through the roof because of her are immense, especially because they're champions now. So because people want to root for champions or winners, excuse me. Speaking about championships and winners and stuff, I would like to discuss a little bit just football in general. I personally like football. I like watching all 5 major sports. I know people, when I say 5 major sports, what are you talking about? Football, basketball, hockey, baseball, and soccer. Yes, soccer, the forgotten American one, even though there's an entire league that is expanding ever so rapidly in the US, but there is that entire thing. But for some reason, it's forgotten by Americans. But anyways, big fan of all 5 of the sports. Huge fan of, particularly, I'll sit down mostly and watch a hockey game and a basketball game, depending on the basketball game, depending on who's playing. But I'll sit down and watch it. We like to go to basketball and hockey games, mostly basketball games because they're relatively cheap, but also they're a lot more frequent and in more convenient spot to go to. So they're on convenient days in comparison to hockey games, which are on inconvenient days, like Wednesdays, usually hockey days. And then basketball games are usually on like Friday nights, which are easier to get to, you know, all that other jazz and stuff. So that is what it is. But that being said, I am a fan of all the Washington, D.C. sports teams. So we had a good 2-year run there with the Nats and the Caps, and then right now it's not looking so hot, especially in the basketball realm, which I have barely kept up with. All I know is that they are like one of the worst teams in the league, although I do want to go to a game for like $1 or something like that, so that is something to look out for in the very near future. But anyways, big fan of all major sports. I don't want to get too into the sports realm and psychology and all that other stuff, because that is a own video that I want to make, and probably make about each individual sport personally, because I like all of them and can talk a little bit about them all, except for soccer, that in-depth per se, because there is the European leagues. That's a whole other beast that I have not tapped into, but I will watch it. If it's on, I will watch it. I'm not going to be like a dickhead and be like, oh, soccer, ugh. You know, nah. I sit my ass down and watch the World Cup, you know what I mean, because of how infrequent it is and all that other stuff. I did watch that last game and clenched my anus for Messi the entire time, so that was something. But anyway, back to the big game, because our version of the World Cup happened last night with the Super Bowl, or the big game. I hate that they trademarked the term Super Bowl. That's so fucking annoying. That's like, it's so ridiculous to me that a company would do that and then they could just sue the shit out of whoever they want. It's just like Michael Buffer copywriting Let's Get Ready to Rumble. So gotta be careful about that one too. Can't really say it, you know, or else you might get fucked over. So careful about that one. But anyways, I personally did not want to watch yesterday's game just because I had no interest in the winner per se. If it was the Ravens, I would have definitely watched it. If it was the Detroit, I would have also definitely watched it. Either of the other teams that didn't make it, I would have watched it. Either one. If it was both, I would have definitely watched it because I'm curious about, you know, Ravens, they're up north. I lived in Baltimore for like a moment, so there's that. And then Detroit, I would love to see, you know, the first one. I have a friend of mine, shout out Foxman, who's from Detroit, huge Detroit, like general Detroit sports fan, and their Pistons are just doing terrible, so it would have been great if, like, you know, the Lions would have won, broken that curse, and then there you go. So it would have been nice, but no, it's just more of the same, but under new management now. It's just the Chiefs now are the top dogs, which I'm okay with. Personally, I did hate the Patriots like some people do, because I understand why people hate it, because, you know, you don't want to see the same people winning over and over again. But there is something to be said about sustained greatness that sometimes you just have to witness, that like there's nothing you can do but just watch and be astonished by. And there are certain championship things like that, like Tom Brady winning all those championships. So it's like, oh, okay, when it's done, it's done. Like now the league is completely different after this year. I mean, there's no more, like, all the old guards are starting to go away, you know, and like the league is just changing like a lot now. Like the old school quarterbacks that are left really now are like Aaron Rodgers is basically almost done, and that's it. Like everybody else kind of retired at this point, or just called it. So yeah, well, that's the same thing, or aren't getting the callbacks. That's the other way of saying it. It's very weird, you know. It's kind of like also in basketball too now. It's like I remember, like, I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, who, for a lot of these players and stuff, where I'm like, who the hell is this? It's just interesting. Like I'm starting to get to those points where it's like, who, what, especially in football, you know. Like I remember like Christian McCaffrey, his first year, you know what I mean, when he was a rookie in Carolina, like, and now he's playing in Super Bowl in a completely different team that didn't fuck him. So you know what I mean, like, okay, very interesting. For me personally, I didn't watch any of the game, didn't watch any of the commercials, didn't care for it at all. Not because I don't like the spectacle of it, or because I didn't think it was going to be a good. I knew it was going to be a decent game because top tier offenses ish, and one good defense, one decent defense. So I thought it would be an alright game. I didn't realize it was going to go to overtime and all that other stuff. With that being said, I'm like, do I feel like I missed out? Not really. I could watch just highlights and then I'm good. The thing about it is, and I think this is all of sports in general, and I think this is what people, I guess, don't understand about it generally, is that if you don't have a vested interest in who wins, it doesn't necessarily even matter. That's what makes it boring. But if you have even the slightest inkling of some type of relationship with a team, whether it be you're from there or you have somebody that likes it or that's from there or whatever, that's good enough. Or even if you want to go down the dark rabbit hole, a bet or two on the game, that's a whole other discussion because that's gambling, but I don't want to get into the gambling stuff. But with that being said, personally, I think that if you don't have an interest in who wins, it kind of defeats the purpose of watching sports. And I understand why people, when they don't have really interest, I mean, you know, there's no real point. And, you know, we'll continue this discussion on the other side.
First, we start here with dips. These were pretty challenging, but I went up in them. I did a little bit more than normal. I want to get back to the subject matter at hand, the Super Bowl. So I want to talk about first the Super Bowl ads and how they are kind of stupid nowadays. They used to be a spectacle. It was something that was to be talked about after and all that. Nowadays, it seems as though each ad they get talked about right before, or they get posted beforehand, or if like they show up, they just get released at the same time, so nobody really has to even watch the game to see them. I don't know. They're very weird, and most of the time they're not memorable anymore. They haven't been memorable for the past like 5 years now. I don't even remember the old ones that were quote memorable at this point. They were that kind of like stupid. Any company that spends all that money for like those 30 seconds is kind of ridiculous. The most thing that I remember from last year are the NFL ones, the ones that are from the NFL directly. So I don't get the point of even spending any type of money on that at all. So that's just kind of dumb. The other part of it is halftime, the halftime show. I'm not a huge Usher person. That's one thing, but also I just kind of was like, all right, whatever. The halftime show has just been kind of whatever for the past, like, I don't know, 2 decades, really. I don't know. I can't even tell you. It's been something that's kind of whatever ever since Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson. Has there been not really anything that was, quote, memorable? There were a couple of memes that came out of a couple of them, but that's about it. But besides that, meh, like, there's nothing really crazy. I mean, who remembers Left Shark from when Katy Perry did her thing? You know what I mean? Like, wow, that was the thing from that year. But yeah, I find it kind of dumb. I know that they don't pay the artists. That's the thing that I hear, is that they don't pay the artists, and then instead they are paid with, quote, exposure or something, or the sponsor ends up paying for them or something like that. It's kind of stupid. Like, I don't know. I personally don't get it. I was waiting for them to try. They're going to try to get Taylor Swift next year. I already feel it 100%, because they know that is millions of eyes extra on them. So they're gonna try anything they can, but she'll probably say no, depending. But we'll see. Obviously, I can't say anything about that until we get there, right? I have to say, these cable lateral raises were a nightmare. They were great though, but a nightmare at the same time. You could see it on my face. I was struggling hard. And the weird thing that I've noticed while watching the Super Bowl every year, and I don't know why they do this. I'm pretty sure I watched a video about this, but like, I don't remember why. I think I like blocked it. I memory hold it out of my brain. But basically, why do they always mess with the on-screen graphics every single year? They make it all brand new every year. It's like, I watched football games on the CBS channel, and they never had it look like it does like on here, all like the scores and stuff. And I don't understand why they all do that. They always change it as like to the new, what they're going to use for the next year. And I always found that kind of stupid, because then I have to like readjust myself like I do here in this set of pullovers. But I feel like it's kind of stupid to do something like that, particularly on the last game of the year. It's like you have to kind of like, whoa, this is new. I guess they make it do it because it's different, I guess. But I find it kind of a dumb decision. I personally don't like it. Like I alluded to previously, I had to adjust myself 2 times during this set of pullovers. I could really feel them hard on my lats, but also my grip was going out a lot during this, so I had to readjust twice. It was kind of annoying when it happened, but I just had to do it. I also had to take a second for the second time. I was dying at this point. Well, not literally, but you know, figuratively speaking, of course, because I was done. My lats were done. Everything was kind of done at the point, so I was happy to get near the end of the workout by now. And then I think the last point I want to talk about here when it comes to the Super Bowl really is the spectacle that it is for the entire day, not only for the game itself or the things that are happening before and post game and all that other stuff, but as well the people who throw parties and stuff for it. You know, like I've been to a couple of Super Bowl parties. I don't think I've ever hosted a Super Bowl party, but I've been to a few. I remember one of them that I went to, we saw, it was the 28-3 Brady comeback. That was a very good one to watch, I gotta say, live. Like that was worth the watch, to say the least. But it's interesting. Like these have become like staples now, where people want to watch all the games together and stuff. I think it's interesting to me. Particularly, I think it's dumb when people do like the staged, like I'm gonna break the screen type videos. Those are kind of cringy. I mean, I get why they do them, because they think they're gonna get them some weird popularity, but also it's kind of dumb. I mean, yeah, it's just, oh, you broke a screen because you were angry. Boo. Welcome to every single other person ever. You know what I mean? Like, all right. It just seems kind of dumb. Like you're getting, you know, you're trying to go viral for doing what is essentially just breaking something, but it is what it is. I think it's also interesting to think about like places that sell wings and how they have to meet a demand for this day. Like I know there's a Korean chicken place that I literally saw on the outside that was like pre-order today for the big game. Because yeah, that's how many people go and buy wings. It's like the day that most wings are eaten or something like that, which is crazy in a certain sense, that it is such a tradition and so many people like do it all at the same time. But I personally don't necessarily partake in any of those. If there was a team that I was rooting for, I would probably go to the games, or I would go to a party and something like that and celebrate. But I feel like watching it at home is also more of a relaxing time, because then I can just do whatever there. Right right here during this set of shrugs, I have an issue with my right leg. My right leg, like on the hamstring side, started hurting a little bit. I don't know why. I think it was just straining a little too much. I don't know. It was a very weird sensation. I had to stop and just like check it out for a second. It went away after I brought the weight back up, and it was just kind of like a quick little tinge. Very weird. And we'll see how tomorrow goes with the RDLs and stuff. So that'll be something to keep an eye out for. But overall, I'm not going to shit on anybody that celebrates it or, goes all out for parties and stuff, because I'm not going to lie. I bought a donut shaped as a football because it was Super Bowl Sunday. Now, did I eat it, because it was the Super Bowl? No, I found it funny, and I was like, oh, hey, look at that. I'm just going to eat this donut. It's something where I'm like, yeah, I get why people like to make it a giant spectacle and stuff, and it is something that is entertaining. I still will say, and I agree with the people, that the next day should be a holiday, and I reiterate that multiple times here, because why not? Actually, thinking about it, I know why not, and we'll get to that subject matter tomorrow.
Why am I'm looking at the camera to do my backup, thinking I'm gonna see the fucking back of the car. And we're back! Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed, none. Exercises skipped, none. I got it all in, it was all good. I am very tired right now, so my brain power is functioning very little. But we are going to finish this damn conversation that we had started earlier, which is about the big game, aka the Super Bowl. I don't want to get too into football in its own right, because that'll probably be another episode on its own. But for today, I just want to talk about the spectacle that is the Super Bowl, because it is literally an all-day thing for certain people. If you're a gambler, it's huge because of everything that you can gamble on. I find it crazy about the amount of things you can gamble on it. For me personally, I think the Gatorade shower bet is probably the one bet I would probably only do, just because it seems so ridiculous and stupid that I would do it. I wouldn't pick a winner. I wouldn't pick any of that. I'd pick the Gatorade color, because that's just so ludicrous to me. Speaking about ludicrous, he was actually in the halftime show, which was surprising. I thought he gave up music, but hey, here you go. He was like, all right, acting is done. I'm in State Farm commercials. Let me actually do some music here now. Let me go back to music. State Farm ain't paying enough. That was interesting. I didn't actually hear what song he did or anything like that, but that's whatever. I don't really care. I had that thing on mute. The giant spectacle that is the Super Bowl, I think, honestly, it should be on earlier, or you have the next day off, honestly. I feel like the next day off would make things a lot easier. I honestly agree. Enough Americans watch it that it would make sense to make it a full-on, like, holiday the next day, but I understand why it's not, obviously, that's a pizza vending machine. Holy shit. But overall, I don't really get sucked into the spectacle of it. Obviously, you haven't had a Washington team play since before I was born, I believe. So yeah, not really necessarily, no real ventured interest, although there were some interests in Baltimore going the couple of times. Although the first time I wasn't into football at the time. But the second time, there was nothing else to do. So I was like, all right, let me watch this. But, for me personally, when it comes to like the big game versus other finals in sports, I prefer the other finals. I think there is something to be said about like best of 7 series. I understand why it doesn't happen in football. God, that would be the worst, honestly. If I was a player, I would not be looking forward to the Super Bowl if it was like a best of, like even if it was like best of 3. I'd be like, fuck that, so I'd understand why. I understand why it's just one game, but still, personally, I feel like the other ones have that slight edge. This one game, it's anus clenching, but the other series, it's anus clenching. Like any game 7, basketball, baseball, hockey, like even if you're not cheering for anybody, but that last game, whoo, it is an intense watch no matter what, most of the time. If it's a blowout on game 7, it's kind of like, damn, but like if it's a close game in game 7, whoo, anus clenching. We'll get to those when we get to those each sports, but for now, I just want to say, tell me what you thought about the Super Bowl if you watched it. Let me know in the comments below. I did not watch it, but I'll probably watch highlights while I eat today. So I'm gonna just watch all the highlights and call it a day. Let me know what your thoughts on the entire Super Bowl, or if you think that there should be a day off right after the Super Bowl. Because like I said, I personally think there should be. I mean, it would make most sense. It's an American holiday, and I feel like you can just constitute it as like, I don't know, something like, give it a bullshit name, or like go into the annals of history and try to like surf something out, you know what I mean? But it could also be because they don't give it a holiday because there's another holiday that's coming up soon, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. And on that cliffhanger, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you watching. Please share this video with anybody who might like it. I will see you on the next one, and peace.